Soul Movie Summary in English. Let's begin. In New York City, pianist Joe Gardner teaches music part-time at a middle school while dreaming of playing jazz professionally. When he receives an offer to teach full-time, his mother Libba urges him to accept, although Joe is resistant. Joe learns famous jazz musician Dorothea Williams has an opening in her quartet and auditions at a jazz club. Impressed with his piano playing, Dorothea hires him for that night's show. As Joe heads off, his excitement distracts him, and he falls down an open manhole and dies. Joe finds himself a disembodied soul heading into an afterlife, called the Great Beyond. Unwilling to die, he tries to escape but ends up in the Great Before, a realm where new souls are prepared for life on Earth with guidance from otherworldly counselors, all named Jerry, and experienced souls who act as mentors. Each new soul has a badge that grants passage to Earth once it has been completely filled in with interests and personality traits. Mistaken for a mentor, Joe is assigned to 22, a stubborn soul who has been in the Great Before for thousands of years and hopes to avoid Earth. Intrigued by Joe's desperation to return to a mundane life, 22 agrees to let Joe help find her spark, which will complete her badge and enable Joe to use it to return home. After Joe's attempts to find 22 a passion prove futile, they visit the zone, a place that souls enter when their passions create a euphoric trance, but becomes a trap for obsessed, lost souls. They meet Moonwind, a sign twirler who regularly enters the zone to rescue lost souls, who helps the duo locate Joe's comatose body. Joe returns to Earth, but accidentally brings 22 with him, and they awaken in Joe's hospital room in the wrong bodies, with 22 inhabiting Joe's body and Joe inhabiting the body of a therapy cat. They locate Moonwind, who agrees to meet at the jazz club that night to restore Joe to his body. In the meantime, 22 settles into Joe's body and starts to find enjoyment in trivial things like food, wind, and music. She holds poignant conversations with Libba, Joe's student Connie, and Joe's barber Des, as well as convincing Joe's mother to let him play in the band, deepening her understanding of life. Meanwhile, Terry, the being in charge of counting souls, discovers the count is off and arrives on Earth to find Joe. As the day ends, Joe and 22 visit Moonwind to return Joe to his body, but 22, having finally discovered the joy of living, refuses to leave Joe's body and flees. As Joe chases her through a subway station, Terry traps them both, which kills Joe in the process, and returns them to the Great Before. 22 discovers her badge is complete, but a bitter Joe insists it was the result of experiencing life in his body with his preferences, and she has no purpose. Distraught, 22 throws the badge at him and retreats into the zone. Jerry informs Joe that a spark is not a soul's purpose in life, but Joe refuses to believe this and discreetly uses 22's badge to return. The show at the jazz club is successful, but a tearful Joe is ashamed of 22's betrayal and looking at small objects that 22 collected while occupying his body. He remembers the moments they had enjoyed together and realizes these experiences gave 22 her spark. Joe plays piano and enters the zone with the intent of returning 22's badge, but is too late when he discovers she has become a lost soul, obsessed with the idea that she has no purpose. Joe chases her down and shows her a sycamore seed she collected to remind her of her time on Earth. They realize that a spark is not a soul's purpose, but simply a desire to live. Joe's actions restore 22 to normal. He returns her badge and accompanies her for as long as he can on her journey down to Earth. Then Joe finds himself in the Great Beyond. As Joe prepares to die, Jerry stops him and offers him another chance at life in thanks for finally inspiring 22 to live, while another Jerry distracts Terry to manipulate the count. The next morning, Joe returns to his body on Earth, committed to fully living life.